हरि ओम हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाय नमः। ओम राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं भवानी शङ्करो वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ते सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरं वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्य देहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम नमः शिवाय 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 ओम नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। So we are seeing the 6th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It's called Dhyana Yoga, in which Bhagwan guides us step by step on the path of Dhyana, on the path of meditation. So after gaining self-knowledge through Shravan and Manan from our teacher, when we are convinced about our own self intellectually, when there are no doubts, no confusion, and then we are keen to experience that Supreme Self, then we should drop all distraction of all activities and meditate, going or staying in a solitary place, alone, free from all possessions, too much of possessions, free from all other desires. One should sit steady with your body erect, neck, head and the body in one straight line. One should think of the self and pay attention to the self. Become more and more aware of the inner self. Making the mind absolutely peaceful with full faith in the teacher, one meditates on the self. Bhagwan says, once you do this for a long time, you will gain abidance in the self and will become free, gain moksha. But it is a long process. So while living in this world, following the path of dhyana, Bhagwan says you lead a very moderate life, should avoid all extreme, too much of eating or no eating, too much of sleeping or no sleeping should be avoided. One should have moderation in everything. Then our yoga becomes more fruitful. So what is this meditation? Again Bhagwan says, paying attention to our own self. I. See, yesterday we were discussing about this self. So in the waking state, we experience the self along with the gross body, along with the mind, intellect, senses. But when we go to sleep, when we dream, we are cut off from the world and we are cut off from our physical body. The world is made up of 5 elements and the physical body is also made up of 5 elements. And in order to become aware of the world, we need our senses. But when the senses are withdrawn into the mind and the mind is busy dreaming, we are not aware of our body nor of the world. No disturbance from the world reaches us. Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasagandha of the world doesn't reach us, nor any stimuli of the body reaches us. But we are present in our dream. The I am is experienced in our dream. And the same I am which is experienced in the waking is experienced in the dream. Therefore, when we wake up from our dream, we know it is the same person. I myself was dreaming. I don't say some other person was dreaming. So the I who is now awake and experiencing my own existence, the same I is present in the dream, but totally cut off from the body. So we have to practice recognizing that I without bringing in the thought of the gross body and without bringing in the thought of the world. So keeping Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha outside, even the thought of the body should not be there. One should become aware of that pure I am, my whom, I exist. Only that, focus your attention only on that experience of your own existence. If this is done, it may take its own time. If we are able to remove the thoughts of our body, gross body and the world, and pay attention to our own self, then we should go even further down, further in, and focus our attention on the self without getting distracted by any thoughts of the mind. Because even when our eyes are closed, and even if the senses are withdrawn, the mind keeps on imagining and dreaming and going into the past or future. So one should withdraw one's attention from the distractions of the mind. Pratyahara. Withdraw all the wanderings of the mind and just limit it, fix it toward the self. Let only the thoughts of the self be in the mind. That's called dharana. Restricting the thoughts of the mind only in the self. See, when we are dreaming, we experience our own existence. But even when we are asleep, in the sense when we are in dreamless sleep, we know that we were existing. So the experience of our own existence was there even in deep sleep. Therefore, when I wake up, I say that I was there, I slept happily, peacefully, I was existing. So I know I was existing in my dream, in my deep sleep. So, but there were no thoughts, there were no emotions. There was pure self alone. So that pure self, which when we wake up, we say I was existing, I name it as I, but it is beyond that name I also. So that self, free from all thoughts, which is known only as pure existence, Satyam, Jnanam, it is pure knowledge, Anantam, it is not limited by space, time and object, Anandam, which is pure bliss. So one should focus one's attention only on that pure existence which we call I. I is a name given to that pure self. So when we are able to focus our attention on that self, when all the thoughts of the mind are directed only toward the self, like I have given the example of that parade, when all the soldiers are marching only towards the Rashtrapati Bhavan, everyone in one beautiful formation, they go towards the Rashtrapati Bhavan singing the same tune and song. They march in unison to go towards the Rashtrapati Bhavan in the same way. And then once they enter there, then suddenly the whole place becomes illumined. Similarly, all the thoughts should march continuously toward the self only, undistracted. Only one tune, they are marching toward the self. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Only marching toward the self means the mind is awake, alert, but focused at the self, on the self. See, when we are asleep, our mind is, it remains dormant, it remains inactive. But when we are meditating, the mind is active, but all the thoughts are directed toward the self only. So that is dhyana, sajatiya vritti pravaha. The vrittis of the mind are of one type only, and they are all moving toward the self. So this is the practice of meditation. And when this is done for a long time, all those thoughts, they merge in the self, and we remain as that pure self, thoughtless, free from all distraction, pure Satchidananda Brahma. So this practice of meditation, where all the thoughts are marching toward the self, that is that practice, and the mind should be absolutely still and steady. So in the following verse, in verse number 19, Bhagwan gives one simile, how the mind should be. What is the nature of the mind of a Dhyana Yogi? A very beautiful simile is given. So let us chant verse number 19. Yatha deepo nivatastha nengate sopama smrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogam atmanaha. Bhagwan says कि योगिनः यतचित्तस्य युञ्जतः योगम आत्मनः. The yogi, which yogi? Dhyana yogi, the person who is meditating, following the path of dhyana. Such yogis, when he is practicing yata chittasya, who has got all his chitta, who has antakarana under his control, and focusing his attention on the self, when all the thoughts of his mind is marching toward the self, yunjato yogam atmanaha, all the thoughts are marching toward the self only, that pure I am, pure amness, pure being. No other thoughts are there distracting. Bhagwan says this can be compared, his mind can be compared to the flame of a lamp kept in a place free from breeze, unflickering. Yatha deepo nivatastha. Just like a deepak is kept in a place free from wind, free from breeze, so that flame remains absolutely steady. Sometimes we have a lot of breeze, so we keep a glass covering around the flame, around that lamp. So the flame remains absolutely steady. See, this flame has got the habit of going up. As I had mentioned before also, this fire is amsha of Surya. So it as though goes back to Surya, goes back to its source. It has come from the sun. All the fire which we experience in this world, all the heat which we experience in this world, all the heat which is there in the entire solar system has come from the sun. And just like everything else, everything goes to its source. It has got this tendency to go to its source. Just like an apple which is ripe and it gets separated from the tree, it falls down on the ground because it has come up from that ground. So the soil, the earth is the source of that apple. So the apple falls back to the earth. The ocean is the source of water. So all the water bodies, they want to go toward the ocean. Similarly, the fire also wants to go toward the sun. But sun is far away, but it is directed, its direction is toward the sun, on top, up. And it is absolutely steady. If you keep your finger and all on top, you will feel the heat. It is single pointed, that flame, and moving up towards its source. Similarly, the Atma is the source of all the thoughts. Atma is the source of the entire creation. So everything has got this tendency to go back to that Atma. So the self also, the mind also, you should, of a yogi, all the thoughts of the yogi are moving toward the self. Later on in the other chapters also Bhagavan will tell that whatever thoughts we have, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, all of them have come from the self. They remain in the self and ultimately will merge back into that self. So just as a flame, unflickering, is alive, it is not dead. The flame is there. It is being continuously fed by the oil or the ghee, and it is burning very steadily. It is constantly burning. But if you look at that flame, it appears as though it is like a picture only. There is no movement. You cannot see any movement in it. It appears as though it has become niruddha. Yogaschitta vritti nirodha. As though it has become steady, totally, no flickering, nothing. Similarly, the thoughts of the yogi are directed toward the self. First we think of the self, and then only the I am thought is there, and that also gets totally single pointed as pure am. मैं हूँ, then only हूँ. Aham asmi, asmi, asmi. So that is the mind. Bhagavan says the mind of a yogi can be compared to the unflickering flame of a lamp. So yatha deepaha nivatastaha na ingate. Na ingate means doesn't flicker. Sa upama smrita. This is the upama, this is the simile. I remember Bhagavan says, this is being said in those who know about the mind, the great thinkers about the mind. Chitta prachara darshibihi, yogagnehi, the great knowers of yoga, who know the movement of the thoughts of our antakarana, who are the knowers of the thoughts of the antakarana. They give this example that in dhyana, the mind becomes as steady as the flame, unflickering flame, kept in a place free from all wind, free from air. Oxygen is there for the flame, but there is no movement of air, so it is not flickering. Similarly, the mind, antakarana, is alive, but it is not flickering. There are no distractions from the world outside. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha are like the wind which blows, and the mind gets distracted and goes out. But here the yogi has stopped the outer stimuli from reaching his antakarana. Shabdan kritva bahirbahyan, as it was said in the 5th chapter, that he has kept all the stimuli outside only, and his thoughts are undisturbed, moving toward the self. Chidanandarupa shivoham shivoham mano buddhyahankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jivve nacha grana netre nacha vyoma bhumir natejo navayuhu Chidanandarupa shivoham shivoham Chidanandarupa shivoham shivoham Soham hamsaha soham hamsaha. So only the thought of the self and total attention on the self. No distractions of any kind. So this is the practice of dhyana. So it requires lot of our spiritual effort. It cannot be just done by the way and just like that. One should take up this path seriously, sincerely. Then only we will be able to attain our goal. It is not something which we can just do casually. So person who has practiced this for a long time, without a break, with all sincerity, as guided by Bhagwan, not by doing whatever comes to his mind. One should not follow our own whims and fancies, but should sincerely pursue it. So at a stretch, we should sit for a long time. Then when the mind cannot hold it, if we get distracted, if we can't sustain it, then you can open your eyes, interact with the world, lead a moderate life. Not too much eating, too much drinking, too much sleeping should be avoided. Moderate in everything. Then again, after taking some break, again we should meditate. So in this way, if we meditate for a long time, our mind will gain abidance in the self. Mind is made up of habit. So it is not easy to change the habit instantly. The mind has got the habit of thinking about the world. Even when the mind understands the importance of thinking about the self and paying attention to the self, out of habit, it thinks about the world. So we have to change the habit of this mind, make it think about the self again and again and again and again and again. When this is done for a long time, sincerely, we will be able to change the direction of this mind. Then our mind will become like a tirtha kshetra. See, we have a lot of pilgrimage centers in our country. Tirtha kshetra. Lot of tirtha kshetras are there along the Gangaji also. And one of the most beautiful tirtha kshetra is there in Varanasi. So Gangaji is flowing all the way from north. It is actually coming from Lord Shiva's jata and flowing. But again that Gangaji as though symbolically should go back to Shivji. So wherever the Ganga turns as though to go back north, that place is then considered as a Tirtha Kshetra. So in Varanasi also, the Gangaji turns back to go to north. So similarly, our thoughts are constantly flowing toward this world. So whenever the thoughts turn back to go within, that becomes tirtha. Tirtha means that which helps us to cross over the samsara. So yogi should practice this for a long time. Yatha dipo nivatastaha nengate sopama smrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. So the mind of that yogi who is practicing becomes like an unflickering flame of the lamp. So this is dhyana abhyas, practice of meditation. When we practice this meditation for a long time, then we gain that abidance in the self. Now in the following 1, 2, 3, 4 verses, Bhagwan gives the definition of this yoga. See, Bhagwan had defined yoga in the second chapter also. Bhagwan had said that yoga is what? Yoga karmasu kaushalam. There he was talking about that karma yoga, that efficiency in yoga is called, efficiency in action is called yoga. Then he also defined yoga as samatvam, samatvam yoga uchyate. Equanimity of that mind is called yoga. But these are the initial definition of yoga. But the highest definition of yoga Bhagwan gives in this verse number 23, verse number 20, 21, 22 and 23. So he says, yoga is tam vidya dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga sannitham. Bhagwan says, at present, due to ignorance, we have that association with dukkha. Dukkha के साथ संयोग हो गया है. We have got associated with dukkha. With all those factors which give us sorrow, pain, which is the cause of suffering. See, due to avidya, we are identified with this body, our mind, and this identification gives us a lot of sorrow and pain. So, what is yoga? Yoga to separate ourselves from these sorrow-giving factors and gain abidance in our own self. So viyoga means to separate itself, Bhagwan says, is like yoga. So when we practice this dhyana for a long time, then this viyoga will happen and we will gain that supreme abidance in the self. We will experience supreme peace. So the practice of this dhyana, how that practice of dhyana leads to this abidance in the self. What is the definition of abidance in the self? What is the definition of the yoga? That Bhagwan now reveals in the following verses. So we will see one verse at a time. Verse number 20. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati. Bhagwan says this yoga is that when we practice for a long time, then what happens? Yatra uparamate chittam. Our chitta, our antakarana gets withdrawn. Gets withdrawn from where? Gets withdrawn from the world. Gets withdrawn from all other engagements. Uparam. Just like when we are sleeping, then slowly our senses and our mind gets withdrawn from the world. In the same way, when a person practices this meditation for a long time, his mind automatically, finally, gets more and more withdrawn from the world. Uparam it is called. Uparati. So yatra uparamate chittam, when the chitta gets withdrawn, how does it get withdrawn? Niruddham yoga sevaya. When we do yoga seva means when we practice yoga. Yoga means when we practice dhyana. When a person practices dhyana for a long time, when the thoughts of the mind are again and again made to flow toward the self, when the mind is made to think about the self. First we may think using all our understanding of ourselves, lots and lots of understanding which we have collected about the self, we think about the self. Then slowly it should be narrowed down. Then we should just think about the self as I am, my whom. Then it should be further narrowed down to only am. Aham. Aham also should be removed. Asmi. Only meditate on your own being. So the thoughts of the mind are withdrawn from all other engagements. They have become niruddha, they have become totally still as far as the thinking of the worldly thoughts are concerned through the practice of yoga. Then what happens? Then we get attracted more and more towards our own self. Then we get a total pull from our own self. Just like when a person is sleeping, if he is not very sleepy but he has to sleep, then he has to put forth some effort. But as he tries to sleep and becomes more and more sleepy, then that pull is there from the sleep. The sleep state pulls him towards itself. Similarly, when we practice, in the beginning we are putting forth effort, but as we practice for a long time, then we will feel the pull from our own self, as though we will lose our attraction towards the mind, toward the world, and one would like to just merge in that self. One would like to just gain that total abidance in the self. Just as a magnet, when you take the iron filings towards the magnet, then the magnet starts pulling it. And when it comes very close to that magnet, the magnet just pulls those little iron filings towards itself. Similarly, as our thought goes toward the self pulls as though all the thoughts. Therefore, that self is called Krishna. Bhagavan Krishna's name is Krishna because Akarshanat Krishna, Akarshan, he attracts everyone and everything towards himself. Everything gets attracted towards Krishna. That self is also called Rama. Bhagavan's name is Rama. Rama is that in which everyone revels. The yogis, they revel. Means the mind starts reveling in that supreme self, start getting that joy in that supreme self. So Bhagavan says, when we gain this, when the mind gets withdrawn, becomes totally steady toward the self, then Bhagavan says, at that time, yatra cha eva atmana atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. Then with that purified mind, we are able to, as though, gain the darshan of our own self. Like a clean, pure mirror reflects my image very clearly. Similarly, in that clean, pure mind becomes clean and absolutely pure when it is focused on the self alone, when there are no more distractions. So in that clean, pure mind, the reflection as though of that self is there, and one comes to feel, or one comes to experience the supreme peace and joy of the self. Through that clean and pure mind, one comes to experience the supreme joy, supreme contentment of the self. Yatra cha eva atmana atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. Bhagavan says, here Shankaracharya ji writes, कि यत्र च एव यस्मिंच काले आत्मना means samadhi parishuddhena antakaranena, with a purified mind which has become pure through the practice of meditation. Atma param chaitanya jyoti swarupam, it comes to see that Atma, the self, which is pure Jyoti Swarupa, it is of the nature of pure illumination, means it is of the nature of pure knowledge, pure awareness. So having seen, having identified with that self, having come close to that self, this mind which has become absolutely clean and pure, one experiences through this supremely purified mind, one experiences one's own bliss. Atmani tushyati, tushtim bhajate, one experiences one's own bliss. Just like a person who is feeling very sleepy, but still he is awake, but extremely sleepy. So when a person is supremely sleepy, even when he is awake, he gets a glimpse of that joy of sleep. You must have experience. People experience even during pravachan. So you don't know whether you are awake or you are dreaming or you are meditating, but you get a deep joy of that sleep when that mind is almost touching as though that sleep. Sometimes you just get a glimpse of that sleep. Dulki lag jati hai. So similarly, the mind which has become absolutely pure, clean, and thinking about the self and all, as though touching the self, through that purified mind, one experiences the joy of one's own self, which is not the joy of this world, which is not like the joy of anything else. It is the supreme joy which one experiences of the self. If we are able to experience this joy, then all the joys of this entire creation will become insignificant for that person. He will know that there is no greater joy than this. So yatra chaiva atmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. So when this happens, then that viyoga takes place. This is called yoga. When the mind gets disengaged from the world and gets engaged to the self. The mind gets disengaged from all that is giving us sorrow, giving us pain, giving us trouble, and experiences this great joy of one's own self. So yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyanatmani tushyati. So what is so special about this joy? What is so wonderful about this joy? What is so different about this joy? That Bhagavan now tells in the next verse, verse number 21. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam vetti yatra na chevayam stitaschalati tattvataha. Bhagavan says, this joy of the self is sukham atyantikam. It is the atyantikam sukham. It is the supreme happiness. Shankaracharya ji writes, atyantikam, atyantam eva bhavati. It's a, what you call, endless sukha. There is no end to this sukha. Means there is no limit to this sukha. It cannot be compared to anything of this world. In fact, there is this Taittiriya Upanishad in which the sukha is compared. The Rishi tries to compare the sukha by giving the comparing it with the worldly and otherworldly sukha. For example, the greatest sukha which one can experience in this world, a person who is young, person who is well cultured, the person who is knowledgeable, the person who has got proper vairagya, will experience the maximum sukha in this world. Unenlightened person, but having all good qualities, a sattvic person, that sukha which is experienced by that person is considered as one unit. 100 times that sukha is experienced in higher world. There are many worlds. So, a higher world, you experience 100 times that sukha. If you go still higher world, then you multiply that again by 100 and that much sukha is experienced. So, in this way, a multiple of 100, 100, 100, one can experience the sukha until one goes to Swargaloka, the sukha of the Devata. Then the 100 times more is the sukha of Indra, 100 times more is the sukha of Brahaspati, 100 times more is the sukha of that Prajapati. And then finally it says that the sukha of the self is, all this sukha put together is just like a little drop of the ocean like sukha of the self. Means all the happiness, worldly happiness, not only of this world, but all Swargalok and Brahmalok and all the happiness which all the jivas have ever experienced and are experiencing are put together. All of them will be like a one drop compared to the ocean like happiness of the self. Because self is infinite. Infinite means there is no limit of any kind. It cannot be imagined. Our buddhi cannot imagine, cannot understand, nor can it imagine infinity. Infinity cannot be imagined. So Bhagavan says, Sukham atyantikam, antarahitam, atyantikam, atyantam. Yattad buddhigrahyam, and this sukha, while meditating, one can experience through the buddhi, buddhigrahyam, with our buddhi, with the purified buddhi. Yattad buddhigrahyam buddhya eva indriya nirapekshaya griyate iti buddhigrahyam, without the need for senses. Means this sukha is not due to the contact of senses with the object. This sukha of the self is transcending all the objects. It is directly experienced through a purified buddhi. Atindriyam, it is beyond the senses. It is not objective sukha, but it is beyond that. So buddhi grahyam atindriyam vetti yatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tattvataha. The Dhyana Yogi, he experiences this sukha. And when he experiences this sukha, he doesn't waver from that sthiti, from that abidance in that tattva. Bhagwan Shankaracharya writes, Vetti tad idrisham sukham anubhavati. He experienced this in limitless sukha. Yatra yasmin kale nacha eva ayam vidvan atmaswarupe stitaha. When he is established in that atmaswarupa, tasmadna eva chalati. He doesn't waver from that abidance. Tatvatah tatvaswarupat na prachavate ityartah. He doesn't waver. Once we experience that sukha, then our journey is complete, because then there is no other sukha which will attract our mind to go elsewhere. Once we have gained infinity, the mind will not waver to go to limited objects. Then that person doesn't waver from his abidance. Then such a person is called Sthita Prajna. Such a person is Jivan Mukta. Such a person is Siddha. He experienced that Sukha which is infinite and which is not Sukha of something. He become of the nature of Sukha. He become happiness itself. He becomes happy. He becomes happiness itself. Not that he has gained something through which he is becoming happy. He is abiding in the self which is of the nature of happiness. So there is no difference between him and that happiness. It is the happiness of his own self. So vetti yatra na chaivayam sthitas chalati tatvatah. And further Bhagwan says, Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tatah yasmin stito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. He says that yam labdva, having gained this sukha, having gained this self, having experienced this self, having gained abidance in that self and experienced this supreme happiness, supreme bliss, that Dhyana Yogi thereafter doesn't consider that there is any greater gain elsewhere. Yam labdva cha aparam labham na manyate adhikam tataha. He doesn't consider anything else greater than this. Shankaracharya writes, Ki yam labdva, yam atma labham labdva, having gained this atma, prapya cha aparam anyat labhantaram tataha adhikam asti iti na manyate. He doesn't think that there is greater gain than this. He doesn't think in that way. Kincha yasmin atma tattve stito dukkhena shastra nipatadi lakshanena guruna mahatapi na vichalyate. And having gained this sukha, that person is not disturbed by dukkha. Even the greatest of dukkha will not give him any sorrow. A Dhyana Yogi, even if somebody comes and tries to kill him or destroy him or use weapon against him, shastra nipatadi lakshanena dukkhena, he is not disturbed. He is not a trace of sorrow will come to him. Nothing can disturb this self-realized person who has gained the supreme infinite bliss. See, this bliss which is gained is not something like an object which is gained. If you gain something, it can be lost also. If we gain some object which gives us sorrow, that object can go away. If we gain some state of our mind because of which we are happy, that state also can change. If we gain sattva gun and then we feel happy, that sattva gun can change. Then again rajogun can come, tamogun can come. But this joy is not of the gunas. It is beyond the gunas. This is the joy of his own self. So the person, Dhyana Yogi, experiences this joy. So when he reaches this state, he becomes separated from all sorrow and gain that abidance in the self. Therefore, Bhagavan defines yoga as separation from sorrow. In the next verse, he defines that yoga, ki tam vidya dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga sannitam. The viyog from all contact with joy, contact with sorrow, itself is called yoga. Yoga literally means to join, but here with the opposite meaning that yoga is defined. Yoga is defined as viyoga, from all that gives us sorrow. Just like in a kitchen, when we are cooking, we boil the potato, then we pick it up. Oh, it is very hot. Then what do? We just drop it. So the contact with that hot potato was giving me sorrow, so I just drop it and feel very happy. Similarly, contact with this world is giving us all sorrow, illogical contact because of our ignorance. Otherwise, everything is our own self only. So this avidya has created that dvaita bhavana, which is giving rise to different types of sorrow. So to separate ourselves from this sorrow-giving situation itself is called yoga. So dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga sannitam. So this is the very most beautiful, and this is the gain which all of us, whatever be your background, whatever be your gender, whatever be your age, whatever be your worldly faith, doesn't matter. Everyone can attain this. But with faith in Bhagavan's teaching, you follow it sincerely and you will attain. Otherwise, one will get lost. One gets lost in the spiritual jungle. People get lost in the spiritual jungle because lots and lots of different views and ideas are there floating in the world, and people may get lost. So take proper guidance from Bhagavan Sri Krishna. He is Yogeshwara, the Lord of Yoga. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. So more about this we will see in our class day after tomorrow. Tomorrow being Sunday, we will have a holiday for this class, but I will give you some questions which you contemplate on those questions and write the answers based on this week's study. I will formulate some questions, so you reply to those questions. And till then, you take care. You do your whatever duties are there, but along with that, study the Gita, listen to the talks whichever you have missed, or if you have not understood something clearly, listen to them again. And otherwise also, when you listen to the talk again, more clarity comes. And share these videos with your friends, relatives, and in other groups, etc. Tell them about these classes which are going on, so more and more people can get benefited from these talks. Okay? So take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, and we will meet again day after tomorrow and continue with our studies. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Bole Syavar Ramachandra Bhagwan Ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.